Hank Green just told me that I should give up on my dreams. And I completely agree. He says, I don't have goals. I don't have dreams. I don't want to do anything in particular. I am just falling downhill. Like, this is great. I haven't heard really anybody articulate this before. This idea of having goals, which is that we have a specific metric of success and we're just striving towards that. And it's very admirable to put all our energy and focus onto that one thing. And when we achieve it, it's like, yes, I am successful. I am my dream. But in reality, I know that I don't work that way. That is not how it's going to be for me. And that's not to say that I don't know how to work that way. I do. I'm actually very good at making dreams work as a system of productivity for myself. I did that with my previous profession, which is ballet. I was a professional ballet dancer for about 2 years. I trained all throughout high school. It started just as something that I enjoyed doing every day and I wanted to do it tomorrow. So what could I do to make it so I get to do this tomorrow? And then I enjoyed doing it well. So what could I do to do it better? Like that was all I was thinking about, was day to day. I want to do this tomorrow. I want to get better. That means that I'm going to be on a pre-professional ballet track in a pre-professional ballet school. Great. Sounds good. That's like fun for me. Some point in there, I decided that this is now my dream, that being a professional ballet dancer in a professional ballet company is the goal and the metric that I need to achieve in order to make this worthwhile. And that's when everything kind of went downhill, because I did achieve it. And then I was having a midlife crisis at 20 because I'd done the thing that I thought I was supposed to do, and I was more miserable than when I started. And I couldn't figure out why or where or when this had stopped being fun. I think looking back, making it a dream kind of killed the dream, you know? Making it something I had to achieve. Suddenly, I wasn't doing it for the day-to-day joy that it gave me because I was so focused on succeeding. And I think Hank is kind of talking about this in a different way. How he's operating is a much more natural way to operate. And it's how I found, since I stopped setting goals and trying to achieve them, it's how I naturally operate as well. You know, he says that he doesn't want to do anything in particular. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to do things. That means he wants to do everything. And I feel that way too. Like, everything is interesting. There's not ever going to be enough time in the world to do all the things I want to do. But I don't want anything that much more than anything else. It all sounds equally interesting. He mentions this idea of having a toolkit, and that you don't follow your dreams, you follow your tools. It's a very nice little saying, and I think it does ring true. You know, once I stopped dancing, I had a lot of tools. I had, you know, all my experience with performing arts. I like to draw, I like to take photos, I like to make videos, and all those little seeds became equally interesting because now there wasn't one thing dominating all of it. And that's where I really started to explore. It took a couple years. I took a whole year of me basically just trying to figure out who I was after losing the core of, you know, the load-bearing pillar of my personality, which was ballet. I had to kind of rebuild from the ground and figure out, well, what is all the things I like to do that's not just that? And I just did, like he said, I did what I could with the tools I had. I tried a lot of things during that period. I remember I spent, you know, I think a month literally wandering the streets of my hometown with a camera and interviewing random strangers with a microphone, just because I'd seen somebody kind of do that on YouTube once, and I thought, well, I could do that, and it just seems kind of interesting and fun, and I have really nothing else to do right now. I'm, you know, kind of in a limbo. And nothing came of that, but I was out in the world seeing people for the first time as just another person instead of the person who was trying to be a ballet dancer. And that was really an exercise in being uncomfortable and in being a beginner again. That was just one thing. I tried going to a film set of a YouTube video, like a Jubilee style, and I realized pretty quickly I did not want to do that. I was like, oh, this is not it, but at least I knew. Took some photography classes, doing some more photography, because that kind of was like, oh, this was a good thing, I'm getting warmer. Kept making videos. I made a couple videos that I hated. Ended up learning a whole new program, Adobe After Effects, which ended up being how I got my next start in my next industry. That's completely different from ballet, completely different from what I did before, but it just was something I was curious about. I just followed my curiosity without ever having any idea of where it would lead. And I think that's all that is, the following your tools. It's just, what can you do right now with what you have? And what sounds fun? Like that's the most important part, you know? What sounds like you'd want to do it tomorrow? What sounds like you can't wait to get up and start? And once it stops being that, you stop doing it. I think that's important to remember, especially for people who hyperfixate on a goal and physically brute force it to achievement. I know I have that capacity, and if I needed to do something, I could. But sometimes, not always, sometimes tenacity is just a waste of time. And I learned that the hard way, that at some point, if it's not working and you're not enjoying the process, you can just stop. And that's okay. You can just stop. It's not a failure. You learned a lot on the way. It can be hard to admit that you're done, but it makes room for what you need to be doing next. And I've been thinking about this a lot since I've stepped into the next chapter of my life, essentially. And all of the unexpected opportunities that have come my way because I was just trying it on, you know? I didn't decide. I knew I wanted to be in DC, so I went to DC. I didn't know what I wanted to do in DC, but I've established so much in a very short period of time just by being curious enough to explore and to say yes to things that I didn't know what they really meant. I was just playing pretend, really, and just curious to see what people were doing over here. And it's led to so much, but I still don't have a dream. I know I want to do something that matters, that helps people. I know that I have capacity to do things that are hard. And it doesn't have to be anything in particular. You know, I don't have my heart set on it, and I don't need it to be, because I'm just following my tools. And I think that's a really good way to say it, because it's not gushy, like following your heart. You know, I think it's a similar sentiment, but it's much more practical. It's just, what can you do today, you know? And what sounds like fun? So go do that. I don't know why you're taking advice from me, by the way. Like, I'm just a kid who's very lucky and who's had a lot of opportunities and who has a lot of privilege. So do what you need to do. But if you can, don't be so worried about having a dream. Don't be so worried about achieving a goal. Just like, I think the way I'm operating now, as opposed to what I think of even 4 years ago when I was navigating ballet and had the big goal in my mind, everything just seems so much more possible and malleable. And, you know, I'm just taking it day by day. Is this fun today? It's still fun. I'm going to do it tomorrow, you know? And it doesn't have to be all building up towards something. You can just enjoy the process and trust that your tools will lead you to the next thing you need to do. Anyways, that's all. That's all my thoughts. I just wanted to say thanks to Hank. I wrote some notes here. I ended up not using them, but I just started blabbing. But I think he said some really good things in here, and I appreciated him admitting it. I do think it's like kind of hard to admit, like, I don't have a dream. It makes you seem very like, you know, laissez-faire, but I think it's the opposite. I think we're seekers. We're looking. We're open to anything, and we're ready for anything. So, yeah, that's all. Bye.